Hello, knowledge seekers. Let's continue our journey and dive deeper into our learnings on generative AI. So we will understand the building blocks of the generative AI, agentic framework. First is large language models or any language models. So these days, language models are not just large, but they comes in different size. As we get Windows or Office, Enterprise, Professional, Home Edition. Similarly, language models are available to suit the mobile phones or the desktop, or based on the need we can run it on CPUs, GPUs. Any language model which is trained up to 20 billion parameters, 50 billion parameters can be executed using CPUs on a normal computer machine. Okay. The other building model is like building agentic AI solutions or agentic workflow solutions, which uses large language models. Okay. Large language models are built using transformer technology, and it uses neural networks, CNN, RNN. They are trained on the huge data set. So like in last 25 years, 30 years since the internet came, the amount of data has been created on the web is equal to the size of the data which since the humans came into existence. So with that large size of data available, the language models have been trained. So one of the things which we need to understand about language models is that language models are trained based on the data and based on a certain, if certain event happens after a given date, and if the that language model, if we ask the question on it, it will not be able to answer, and it will then hallucinate, or it will give wrong answers. So suppose if the language model was trained before the elections happened in US, and then if you ask who is the president, it will still continue to respond as Joe Biden instead of Mr. Trump. Yeah. So similarly, in agentic AI, the other side which uses large language models, like generative AI is only to what based on the questions asked, it looks for the data into and creates a response. So while predicting the next word, it takes the relation into consideration of all the past words it has responded, and accordingly it generates the next word. While in agentic AI, large language models are used. What happens is, like in agentic AI, when you create an agent will have an input, output. It will need a memory. It will need a large language model using which it can understand what user is asking, and it will also use knowledge base, retrieval augmented generation tools, API to take the necessary action, like a human thinks and takes the action. Okay, so there are different types of models built. It's not just language models. So language models are trained based on text, while there are models which are for image or code generation. They are fine-tuned for that specific requirements. Okay, so let's understand all the different building blocks. So building blocks can be understood in three different layers: the bedrock, which is the core concepts and architecture; the mechanics, which is the learning and inference; and finally generation to agency journey. So whoever has worked on artificial intelligence before the generative AI, so earlier there used to be discriminative models. So discriminative models could be given the image input, and it would be able to classify whether it's a cat or a dog or what it is, while the generative AI are trained using different parts of images, and it goes through the forward propagation, backward propagation, and the trained model is able to generate the image. So like in this case, I'm asking Meta AI in WhatsApp to generate an image of a cat, and it has created it. So this is another example where it is a text model. So like transformer architecture enables context understanding, right? So in this case, it will predict the next word based on the previous sentence. The animal didn't cross the street because it was too tired. So accordingly, it is understanding the meaning and the context, and accordingly predicting the next word. So, as I mentioned earlier, large language models are trained based on the huge data which is available worldwide on the web and otherwise in the form of books and different media. Okay, those data goes through the transformer architecture, and that's how LLM capabilities are trained. So, what are the different use cases of large language models? So they can be used for translation, they can be used for summarization, they can be used as chatbots, right? So some of them, like you have a huge set of corpus in one language, then all the documents, if you want to translate into another language, one can do it. Or like if you have some documents and your application agentic AI solution supports more than one language, then with the help of language models, we can do the translation of it. Summarization. So like you have large documents to be summarized, or even in the chatbots, you have the history which increases the memory, and you want to optimize the usage of memory. So with the help of agent, it will give the input to the large language model, and it will create the summary of it. So how the large language models are trained? So in the neural network, so all the text input is given to the input which is like doing the pattern convergence and that intensive processing. It goes through forward propagation, backward propagation, and finally the model is trained based on the data input given. Then those models, one can give the input, and those models based on the question given, it will find the information in the knowledge on which it is trained, and will give the output, right? So the different models, different specialized models available are like GPT for text, DALL-E for visuals, Logic for codecs. Now we have GitHub Copilot, we have Claude, we have Cursor. Similarly, we have Google Gemini, Perplexity, and so many other applications built using this models. So some of them which I have used, or I keep tracking them, are Gemini, Google Notebook for creating quiz, creating presentations, creating podcasts. So like any text input you give it, and then you can listen to the podcast. Perplexity, OpenAI, DeepSeek, LeChat, Claude, Grok, Comment, and so on. Okay. So why this infrastructure matters? Why is it like, yes, on one hand side, when we train such large models, it creates a good amount of pollution, but at the same time, if it is done using right energy resources, it can be useful to the humans. So some of the most common uses are like doing the drafting and coding. So like if you give a good prompt for your requirements, it can generate a desired code, and like Like whenever you start any new work, you have a syndrome of how to start, where to start. Like suppose you want to create a architecture document or a test plan and you don't understand, so whatever requirements or input you have, you can give that input to the any model and ask the write a good prompt to get the output document, which helps you to make a kickstart, and referring to that you get ideas to further work on it. Similarly, it can be used for summarization and data analysis. For data analysis to have a right optimized use, we need to know the data source, and if we provide a clean data, it will be faster and use less number of tokens, and it will give you the desired output at lesser cost. Okay. So generative AI use of large language models is focused more on passive usage. So for the active usage, we do the agentic AI. So like we create agents suppose if someone asks, my daughter asks me, like she is in like I'm in 10th grade and I want to pursue aerospace engineering after 12th grade, and I am good in arts we can create two agents as a education consultant and as a student, and make those two agents talk to each other, and that outcome we can listen by converting into a podcast using tools like NotebookLM. So other thing is like agentic workflow solutions can be made where with the help of agents which replace human, and they can do a task, and based on the outcome of one task they can activate other agents to do the following tasks. Like after booking a flight, one needs to book a hotel or a car rental. So the ecosystem of agentic workflow starts with research. Then based on that research, you draft the agent and then you review it. Okay. One can create multiple agents and those based on the need with the help of LangChain kind of libraries. The solutions can be built or using tools like LlamaIndex. Let's understand the summary of what we tried to understand. So transformer. So transformer is a technology used to build large language models. Then large language models can be used for inferencing, for generating text, for translation, and so on. So generative AI is the solutioning where we use large language models to create new content, or then we use agentic AI to create agents to do the task based on the requirement and solutions built. So let's understand how we will do our journey. As we progress in this journey, we will understand prompt engineering, we will understand what is retrieval augmented generation, we will understand what is vector embedding, we will understand chunking, agentic workflow, guardrails, large language models in detail, fine-tuning, context management, evaluation matrix, hallucination mitigation, multimodal AI. And so on, right? So in large language models, whenever you use to create agents, so when we use a large language model, some of the things which we need to understand is like how to set the temperature, how to set the p-value, and so on, and how setting those values helps in using getting a discriminative output or a more creative output, and how to utilize them based on what kind of solutions we built. Other than that, using tools like NA10, how to create agentic workflows or agentic solutions without writing any code, and then using libraries, writing code in Python or Spring AI or other platforms and languages, frameworks available. So I have created some quiz here. One can pause the video and go through the quiz. So let's, which of the following best describes the primary function of a generative model? So here are the options, and then there's a hint available to answer the question. Then the next question, what is the specific significance of the transformer architecture in modern AI? Here are the options. Here is the hint to answer the question. The next question, during which phase does a generative AI model produces an output based on a user provided prompt? Here are the options. Hint. The next question, how does agentic AI differ from standard Gen AI? The options. The hint. The next question, which specific model is most likely to be utilized by a software developer to assist with writing functions? Options. Hint. The next question, what is the primary characteristic of an agentic workflow solution? The options followed by the hint. The next question, large language models are primarily powered by which type of data during their training phase? The options. The hint. Which of these is considered a core benefit of generative AI as mentioned in the text? Here is the options given. Here are the hints. The next question, answer true or false. GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformer. Is it true or false? And the hint is also given here. The final question, which of the following would be an application of DALL-E? It's a popular utilized model and everyone probably knows it. Here are the options and here is the answer. Think about which model focuses on visual rather than textual outputs. I hope you like this video, and for every video I have created a post on LinkedIn. Please visit them, and the same presentations, cues and details are available on the post. I will share the LinkedIn blog details in the comments. Thank you.